Yo, welcome back to the Midnight Kebab podcast. Sorry that last week we didn't have an episode because some people
awkward.
Some people let's just say weren't built for this, but it's fine.
Some people are not used to the podcast industry.
Yeah.
And probably shouldn't be in the podcast industry actually.
Fair enough.
So yeah, we tried to interview Antonio Universe. What's his name?
Antonio Vicente. Are we gonna put out his full government name on the online?
Antonio Vicente Cruz.
You.
And honestly, someone needs to, I don't know, get a hold of this guy. Like maybe fine him. What does he deserve?
To be fair, his entire government name is probably already out there. He's got like 10 different Instagram pages.
He's got 10 Instagrams, yeah.
One's like Antonio. The other one's
Go
you.
watch his new video, bro.
Yeah.
Good. He's nice, okay?
Plug.
He does not record audio, so we had to cancel the episode, basically.
No, but do you reckon it was sabotage? Because like we were talking shit about Drake, and he loves Drake so much.
And also, first of all that, but otherwise also like he didn't want any competition on the YouTubes when he was gonna release his new video, you know? Because we take away the attention for an hour as well, you know, it's a podcast.
So he wanted most of the views, or he wanted all the views for himself.
Yeah, and once you listen to our podcast, I mean, you always end up exhausted and you know, because there's so much information, like useful information.
Yep.
So
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at Max and you look so depressed.
Yeah. Speaking of people who should not be in the podcast industry, introducing today's guest, coming back again, Maximilian Kienzle, and that's because we're going to be speaking about the German elections. Last time we introduced you as an engineer, a politician, and a rapper. So what are you now, dude? What are you up to?
Well, I am technically an engineer. I do actually work for an engineering company somehow. I have scammed my way in. So for this academic year, I will be working at Danfoss, Scotland in Edinburgh.
Right.
You're gonna get.
What's your background in politics?
No, Max, you're gonna get doxxed right now, bro. Are you comfortable sharing all that stuff on the nets?
Don't worry, I'm sharing all the company secrets. You know, just so you know, all the competitors can get it. Yeah. Nah.
Just so while you're at it, what's your credit card number and shit, bro?
Oh,
yeah, dude. What's your password again?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go.
Fair enough. Thanks. Cheers,
dude. Max is kind of easy to hack because all you need to do is find the one password and that's everything. You already know, dude.
How do you know I have one password? I'm kind of offended you say that in there.
Dude, you look like a one password motherfucker.
No, but to be fair, do you guys have like multiple passwords for like multiple things that you guys use?
No, I have like varying degrees of passwords.
Yeah.
You understand?
Depends. Yeah.
And they're all like built on each other, but like you have like depends how serious the thing is.
Because like different.
I
cycle through passwords quite a lot as well. So if it's for like a random website, then it's just.
All right, I'm not gonna say what I do because like
that is quite dumb. You should not be talking about your passwords in a podcast on YouTube. But
Niloy, I heard Niloy just uses his last name, and then his first name again.
Niloy.
It's just that most people are too dumb to like spell my last and second name, so like they just.
Your name isn't.
Fine,
I think your name isn't that hard.
All right, Max, go on. Spell it.
Mustasa.
Which one? Your surname?
Yeah, go on.
MUH.
Yeah.
TASIM.
There you go. Let's go. Yeah.
Oh, that's not even that hard, bro. But like, what is it? Is it pronounced Mustasa or Mutasa?
I'll let you guess how it's pronounced.
Okay, yeah, because on my phone it's Mustasa.
Oh, it has to be that way.
I feel like this because I told you I was Mexican.
I mean, to be fair, on my phone book you're Mexicano, like still to this day.
Yeah.
And Max, you're still GG.
GG.
Good old.
Yeah. What's more time? Contact.
I just have him saved as white boy. Still.
There you go. I think GG's better than white boy, so I'll take that.
I might need to change Martins, but I need to find a better name.
Like he's an actual engineer. Like Max is just.
I'm the fake one.
Wannabe for now.
That's true. I'm fake. He's the actual one.
Yeah. No, but Max, why are you here, dude? What are your credentials in politics?
My credentials in politics are varying degree of interest. I read the news quite a lot. I'd like to keep up to date. Not as much as some other people in our friend group.
You're supposed to say that you're German and that you have an expertise in German.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Shit.
Yeah, I am actually half German. My dad is full-bred German. I get exposed to German news a lot. I read German news. But I also want to disclaim that I'm not in no way the absolute authority. A lot of the things in this podcast will be my opinion and my take on things.
Right. As opposed to me, who is the absolute authority.
Yeah, whatever.
Just to be clear.
Say, if you insist.
And from here on out, I will not be contributing to the podcast anymore. That's all I had in me.
We might switch it up and be a bit political, or we should be.
Yeah. Well, we've been political
good
before.
luck, Niloy.
We got political last time as well. I'm pretty sure when we got political when I was here last time was also about German politics.
Yeah, it was, and it was actually this question. So it's kind of going to be like a, I don't know, like a refresher on if your opinions have changed.
Oh, I mean, I would say that I know this, like Germany, it's changed quite a lot since then. Because when was it? Like
that's
February?
what I've seen as well. Yeah,
it's been a long time. Things have changed.
Yeah, of course, it's been like half a year.
Yeah,
man. But so for anyone who doesn't know, we got the German elections coming up in 2 weeks, in 1 week, almost.
The 26th of September.
I think so.
So 10 days.
Yeah. So when this comes out, it'll be like in 1 week exactly.
Yeah.
Or at the end of the week. And it's quite important, I would say. Niloy was like, who the fuck cares about the German elections? But I mean, I don't know if you agree with this, but I've always seen Germany as like kind of the leader of Europe in a way, like kind of for a lot of countries, they don't really do anything until like Germany sets an example, let's say.
Yeah, no.
Germany is kind of like the net standard, like really solid example, let's say, for many countries.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. And also, I mean, I think this election particularly because Angela Merkel is not standing for chancellorship again, and she's been now chancellor for 16 years. So
16 years. That's a long time, man.
I believe she's the longest ever serving chancellor. There would only be.
I would say so.
Yeah, no one managed 16 years. They managed 12, but not 16.
I don't think 16.
But so it's a huge deal. She's also been a huge influence in Europe and Germany and the world. She's been named like is it Times that has the most powerful woman in the world?
Yeah.
I think she's even so
Yeah, the Times have a bunch of those, person, and whatever.
Wait, is it not Forbes or is it Times?
It could be Forbes. Yeah, one of those magazines has
I think it's Times.
I can quickly Google it.
I know you guys. You guys keep talking.
Niloy's the research guy, because we're the ones talking. Niloy's the research guy. Hey, Jamie, pull that up real quick.
Yeah.
No. So I mean, Germany. It's kind of important. Also, right now we're in a very critical point, like especially relating to like the Netherlands, let's say, where the Netherlands had an election not that long ago, and they also had Mark Rutte, who was running for the 4th time, and so and you kind of see this thing in Europe now where a lot of like stable things are starting to become unstable again, and a lot of things are like breaking away into their separate, let's say, corners, kind of like the UK and the Brexit thing. And so I really am interested now in seeing like where is Germany gonna head, because I think that's gonna speak a lot for the future and all the upcoming elections as well. Like there's the French one as well, I think.
2022
this year or next
2022. I checked yesterday.
Okay.
Also,
it was Times Magazine, by the way.
I also need to quickly correct myself. Angela Merkel will be tied to be the second chancellor to have 4 terms in office.
Oh, there was one more.
Helmut Kohl from her same party in the 90s. He was the chancellor under which Germany became reunified. So he's also one of the most well-known chancellors.
Yeah, and actually people were talking about that I was watching DW, the German news.
Oh, you watched Deutsche Welle?
And DW is actually really like soothing, man, because it's like straight politics.
Yeah.
It's boomer as fuck.
I don't tend to watch it, but I know that they're quite famous.
It's so soothing and like plain and mundane in German. It's insane.
This is my problem. This is why I have to be honest, I didn't actually follow the campaign until recently too much, because German like TV and German campaigns can often be like talk shows, and they're like 3-hour long talk shows of just them discussing, which is good.
I mean, I watched like 20 minutes, let's say. I watched the YouTube channel, by the way. I don't know if it's the same as the TV station, but
you guys are so boomer, man. Fuck, it hurts.
No, but it's like, dude, I start laughing at myself when I find myself enjoying DW, because out of all the news stations that I watch, it's definitely the most boomer, and for some reason I like the most. Yeah. It's like there is zero comedy, nothing, and they're just like Germans trained to speak English in the most boring way possible.
Yeah. Here's the thing, right? I will say this: like when you're someone that's into politics, you thereby already forfeit all your meme rights. You have no meme rights whatsoever. You have no idea what's funny
that's
anymore.
Not true,
you're saying that.
Stop sending memes, bro. Stop sending memes. Your memes are shit. Your memes are so boomer.
Have no meme power.
No, dude, I would say the best memes definitely come from me,
Bro,
Patrick, and
please,
Yeah, I
bro.
agree.
Like today, you sent
Especially
like
me.
what 2 memes in the group chat? I was like, "Fuck, man, these
Yeah.
are so boomer."
Max. I sent 4 memes, bro. 2 on Insta, 2 on WhatsApp.
The
Oh,
WhatsApp
damn.
ones were
The double up.
particularly bad, bro.
Oh, relax.
Let me just pull one up. Yeah, it's like a picture of the guy on the bed in the top and the girl at the bottom, and the guy at the top is texting her. He's like, "Damn, babe, I got a boner," and then the girl's like, "Lol, say, bro, you don't send that stuff. That's the stuff that you see online. You double tap once and then you just move on. That's not a meme you share with your friends, bro."
I feel like that one was
No,
funny because of the context of our friendship group.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Dude,
wouldn't
it made
send
me
that.
think of a few homies that we had.
Yeah.
I'd say
Yeah,
the only
yeah.
person that probably found him funny was like you two, because you two are like the oldest people.
See, this is why I'm getting annoyed, right? I spent my whole childhood getting made fun of that I was the youngest. And now,
How
all
long
of a
ago was
sudden-
your childhood, man?
And now all of a sudden,
at
I'm the
least
boomer.
50 years ago.
How have I become the boomer?
Because your childhood was
No,
50 years ago,
It's
bro.
actually funny. It's actually funny because every time that people make fun of me for sending boomer shit, Max is the first guy to like whatever I'm sending because he gets comment handed.
I have noticed that. And then whenever someone's like flaming you for like your meme being boomer, Max is the first person to back that person up.
Yeah.
Just
So Max, you're out here complaining, dude, because you went from being young to the boomer. But like,
How have I done
you
this?
kind of, yeah, I don't know. Ask yourself, dude. You're the first motherfucker to defend the boomers, you know.
Anyways,
But I appreciate it.
that was just my rant about if you're political, you forfeit all your meme rights.
Right. I mean, I think now, yeah. I mean, this also served as a way to introduce the 3 characters. I feel like, you know,
It did.
you got the 2 sound politicians, and then you have the anti-boomer sitting in the corner for some reason.
No, here,
Bro, don't
you
you,
got-
have like
you-
TikTok
you-
or something to scroll
No,
through?
here's the
Go
thing,
to
right?
TikTok, man.
I appreciate.
adults are
No,
talking,
I will
dude.
say this though, like normally, like I wouldn't just go out of my way and like look up what's happening in politics on the daily, unless it's like big
Right,
news
right.
and it's like everywhere, and I just can't avoid it. Like this German election for me, like it just hasn't come up on my radar at least,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's just not that important for me right now. But I will say that I enjoy this podcast because when I'm here with you guys, at least I get to hear what's happening, and I don't feel like I'm totally out of
Right.
the loop. You know?
This is like the
Just
one
1
time
hour
a
a
week
week.
when Niloy gets.
one time a week. Yeah,
This
exactly.
is the one time a week when Niloy doesn't watch anime and he watches something serious.
No, that's
and
why
it's not
I,
even
like,
something
I like,
serious.
No, that's why I like news of the week, because then Mattis comes in with the news and like I don't feel like I'm totally out of the loop, and I feel like okay, sometimes it's good having
Also-
boomer friends.
I curate quite like some good stories. I feel like
Yeah, you
I cut through a lot of the bullshit.
yeah you curate stories that you curate stories that like a lot of people probably wouldn't have come across like at first
Yeah,
glance.
and I come across it because I come across every single news story, unfortunately.
Bro, you literally just said at the beginning of this that you were watching German news. You read English news, German news. I swear
No,
you're
I
Danish,
have
so you
to
probably
say,
also
right?
watch Danish news.
No,
Fair-
I don't watch Danish news.
Ah.
Actually, I completely abandoned that.
Ah.
But I do watch like Spanish
You
news
can-
or like Spanish speaking news.
Do you not watch Danish news?
No, there's like 2 good Danish news like stations, and they're not really that good.
Fair.
It's like so narrow-minded and like Danish.
Yeah,
focused,
I mean,
it just doesn't make sense
I
to me,
don't
dude.
read Norwegian news like for like international
no.
things, but for Norwegian things, I read them.
Dude, like Danish news is like you get the same, like you either get boring Danish stories that have nothing to do with anything, or when it's like world news, you get the same headlines that you'll get in any other like major news label, except it's just them explaining it in a like so Danish people can understand it, you know,
Fair,
if that makes sense. Yeah,
makes a bit of sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, bro.
yeah, thanks, bro. Sorry, man. I feel like I'm kind of getting abandoned as a boomer here, you know.
No. Let's keep it on with the German elections. Yeah, Angela Merkel.
Yeah.
Tied for
No.
16 years.
Yeah. No, but as I was saying before you went on this rant, dude, insulting me, I heard that Merkel's from East Germany, right?
She is.
Which, right. Which was something I didn't know, actually.
You not?
Maybe you told me before.
I think
Yeah,
I've
but-
definitely told you.
Yeah, okay, but yeah, it surprised me in any case. And this time is like one of the first times that all 3 people, or everyone like who's running to be the chancellor, the major frontrunners at least, are not from East Germany at all.
It's true. Although, yeah, one thing to say is that like in general, German politics is actually very West German dominated. Like I can't remember if it was this cabinet or the previous cabinet. There was only Merkel was, I believe, the only minister out of, I'm not sure how many ministers exactly, but the only minister that was East German. Like all the other, the Ministry of Labor,
Right.
Minister of Finance,
Wait,
were
sorry,
all West German.
sorry to cut in here, but like, is there a difference between East and West German politics?
Do you know history?
Uh,
Do you know what history is?
nah, bro. I'm not old enough. I don't think.
Do you? Do you know that Germany used to be two countries?
No, actually, no.
Oh wow.
I had zero idea.
That
Okay, after World War II, the Allies. Do you know who the Allies are?
Yeah. Okay. I know
The-
World
the
War II
anti-
history at least. Yeah.
The anti-Germans.
Uh huh.
They decided to split Germany into two, right? So you have the West Germans and the East Germans. The East Germans became communist under the Soviets,
Mm-hmm.
and the West Germans were split between the Allies, so like without the Soviets.
Right.
And West Germany was very westernized, and East Germany was very communist and I guess easternized. I don't know.
All right.
And East Germany was kind of like really fell behind compared to West Germany. And when they unified, like West Germany really took over, and it still to this day, it kind of has a big influence. And a lot of Eastern Germans, at least from what I've heard also from you, Max, is that kind of feel left behind or untouched by
So,
the
like,
German society and especially the
in
government.
general, like even since unification, like even if you just look at statistics, like unemployment is always higher there. There's not much industry there because Germany had like its
Right.
economic miracle after World War II, and that all happened in the West.
Yeah.
So all these companies that became big in the West, and they haven't really moved to the East because
Right.
there's not really an incentive.
Hmm.
So now it's
Right.
sort of starting because even with like tax incentives, the government tried to like make companies move to the East and stuff. But
Yeah. But so do you think that the East is going to like feel a bit more left out this time? Or is that not really something that's relevant, do you think?
it's going to be relevant, but it's a bit different this time. In general, the topics are very, very different to 2017.
Yeah, that's also another reason I want to bring up why this one matters, is because this is like the first election that we have after quite a few headlines, like global headlines, that I want to see just how people react to them,
Yeah.
Does this because for example you had the like a summer full of climate disasters,
Yeah.
and everywhere got flooded, like China, Germany,
Yeah.
Italy, even the US, New York. Am I missing some? No, right? The fires in Greece, maybe.
Yeah, fires in Greece.
And stuff.
Were there?
Oh yeah, and fires in Russia as well.
I can't
Yeah.
list them all. Like, it's been a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So it's quite. There was a few hurricanes as well, right?
Yeah. Although I'm not
Yeah,
sure how
in
much
America.
worse they were than. I guess they were worse than normal, but.
Yeah. And that goes just after like the winter in fucking Texas. Like, so there's been a few global topics that have been emerging, and I want to see.
Not to mention obviously
generally,
COVID, which is
yeah,
completely changed everything.
I want to see
Like-
if that pushes people like more to the left, to the right, like towards the green. Like what's gonna happen? You know?
Is that an invitation?
Yeah, I
for me
mean
to
you
comment,
can commentate
or-
on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Go on, man.
So the Greens in Germany have done is interesting because the Greens in Germany have been really ticking up for a few years now. So, for example, in the 2019
Right.
EU elections,
Actually, before you comment, I'll just set the table here. Right.
Yeah.
You have like three main parties.
well,
You've got the
for this election there'll be
Yeah,
three main parties.
Right. You've got the CDU, which is the Christian Democratic Union, which is the one that Angela Merkel was running for a bit. Then you got the SPD, which is the Social Democratic Party, which is like any other social democratic party in Europe, basically. Center left. The CDU is center right, by the way, if you couldn't guess from the Christian part. And then you have the Greens, which surprisingly are now like a major party in Germany. And then you have like a bunch, or like a few smaller tier ones, center right ones, further right one, and a further left one. And then you have your extreme ones, of course, as always. But yeah, so go on, Max, just so people know like the relevance of these.
So one
parties.
thing I will start to say is that the fact that like the Greens are considered one of the bigger three is like that's the first time that's happened in any federal election.
Right.
So they sparked headlines where in this year in like March or maybe it's May actually, each party has to decide whether they put forth a candidate for the chancellor. Because not every party does that because for small parties it's not worth it. Like they're not campaigning to become the chancellor; they're just campaigning to get as many votes
To be part of the
part of
government.
the government. Yeah. And so CDU and SPD always put in a candidate. They always do because they have always been 1 and 2
So are you saying that this is the first time that the Greens put forward a candidate as well?
The Greens have never put forth a chancellor
damn.
candidate, so this is the first time.
I didn't know that, actually.
In fact, many recent elections they didn't have one person leading the party. They had a dual. They often had a man and a woman. That was like their model, was that you have two people at the peak or at the lead. But this you can't do that obviously with chancellor. So this year they selected one, Annalena Baerbock, the woman,
who is a bit questionable, but.
Okay. Yeah, that's something.
Wow. Sexism?
Yeah, so I'm not even gonna joke, dude.
Yeah.
No, like I don't know, Nips, as an average person, how much do you care about the personal credentials of who's leading you?
Depends what you mean by personal credentials.
Let's say most politicians have like a public CV, right?
Yeah.
Where you can kind of see their track record, what they've done. A lot of them put in their education or like accomplishments and stuff. And if you found out that like a good 1/3 of that was just made up or inaccurate, would that affect you at all, or do you think you would even like hear about this?
I mean, would I hear about this? Probably not, because I'm guessing this has happened and like I haven't heard about this.
Yeah.
So
but I think you would have heard about it if it was in like Italy or something.
Yeah,
it's one of those. It doesn't really come abroad too much. This particular scandal.
Somehow I picked it up, but
I mean, to be fair, credentials don't even matter here. Have you seen in Italy we had a PM who used to be a clown that wanted to run? So clearly credentials don't matter here. But
that's like something I want to point into where like in Germany, like people value that. Like Germans,
exactly.
Like in Germany, especially this election has become a bit more. Has actually become less party focused than normal and become a bit more like in America, where it's been focused on like the leaders, because it's definite there's a change. So it's like, I think it's just because, for a whole generation of Germans, they don't remember anyone other than Angela Merkel.
But this is also like a thing on the, I mean, I get your point there that like, because Angela Merkel's been there for so long, it's important to figure out who exactly is going to replace her. But like, there's also a thing on like a global scene where countries are now becoming more, like they care more and more about who's the one person who represents their country, you know? And I saw also a lot now that I'm not used to seeing, but like, that people were asking and talking about in Germany, like, will this person be able to confront Putin? Will this person be able to confront Xi Jinping in China? Like
this, it's becoming
like a potential Donald Trump in the US or something like that.
So that's a major point.
And so, like people are looking now for like strong people that can represent their country and take on those one-on-ones with other world leaders, right? I just thought that was interesting because I've been noticing that as well.
Yeah.
So
that's why actually, like, the one candidate, that's why, I mean, I would say that's the main reason why actually the Social Democrats are actually polling as well as they are at the moment. Because, which is, when you look at it, for me, it's miraculous. 6 months ago, I would have said, no way. They're going to be the biggest losers of this election.
Right.
Because I actually
have the polls here. Just to give some reference. So like, the CDU was always pulling ahead because, as we said, Merkel's been there for 16 years. They're quite popular in Germany. Very stable political party, let's say. And the SPD, like in many other countries in Europe, has kind of like fallen behind, especially since the previous generation of our parents. Like in the Netherlands, they're completely dissolved. Like they can barely get 8%, 10%. And all of a sudden in this election, like, the CDU and the Greens lost a lot of popularity, and it was almost like by just by being there without any controversies, the SPD just gained a lot of popularity, because where else would these people go for, right?
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing. The SPD has gained a lot of popularity because the leader, the candidate, Olaf Scholz, is quite the opposite of what, like, he is an established politician. He's been the Minister of Finance since 2018, I believe.
Right.
Before that, he was the mayor of Hamburg, sort of Germany's second biggest city, for 8 years.
And how relevant is Hamburg? Like, is that a name that Germans associate with?
Oh, I mean, it's relevant, but that's not like, most people, like, they aren't digging back things from his mayoral times really in this election.
Right.
Because to be honest, he's had a lot of things he's been doing since 2018.
I mean, I dug a few things from his mayoral times in Hamburg, and I actually kind of liked him a bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's not a bad candidate.
He did a lot for like housing and stuff.
Yeah, he's done. Yeah, but he's very he's more of a moderate in like the SPD.
Yeah,
so he's a bit more toned down. He's not. And if you look at like the main thing I looked at are the debates between the three chancellor candidates. It's called the Triel in German.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you watched those.
I haven't.
Yeah,
I didn't watch
definitely
any.
did not watch those.
I did not watch any in full. Also, because I don't get German TV here live.
Yeah.
So, but I've watched like the analysis, some of the summaries of that, and it's very clear how like you can see Olaf Scholz got challenged a lot, especially by the CDU leader Armin Laschet.
Yeah.
Because Armin Laschet, that's another thing we can talk about. He's technically got credentials. He was the prime minister of Germany's most populous state, North Rhine-Westphalia. That's where Martin has his holiday house for you too, so you get some reference to it.
Okay. Yeah, I knew that.
But yeah, so it's a big, very very important state, and I don't think he did too badly there. But he's just not a very inspiring character, in my opinion. He is essentially, I mean, like for us, he's a bit of a boomer. Young people don't get any inspiration from him. Like he's just, it's a return to the good old.
A bit.
Get him out of here, bro.
And also
get him out of here.
Niloy, if I would actually like to see your reaction, dude, to like the picture of these three candidates, because they are the most boomer thing you can imagine.
I feel like, by the way, I feel like Annalena Baerbock isn't that boomer.
No, that's true. She's a bit less boomer.
That's what she's gambling on. Like she's essentially saying, like, I'm not a boomer.
By the way,
it's
I'm
very
sorry,
like.
But I was just saying, when you guys say SPD, like a specific image just popped up in my head because
you sent an image of the Power Rangers, bro. I'm trying to really debate seriously. Anyways, Dips, there you can see hopefully on the link there should be the three faces, no?
Yeah. Who's the one on the left?
So the one on the left is
go on, Max.
Olaf Scholz, the head of the SPD, the centre left.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the right we have Armin Laschet, the head of the CDU, the guy that.
Dude, I really wish I could pronounce these names, by the way. Like, I tried to prepare myself, but the names are...
Yeah, like, no. That's the other thing that I would find funny. That's kind of why I want... Because I think Olaf Scholz, people can say, Olaf Scholz. Like, people will be able to pronounce that. But Armin Laschet and Annalena Baerbock, no foreign media would ever be able to pronounce that.
That's fucking...
And it would be so funny.
Yeah.
Wait, say it again. Let's all try and pronounce it. Like, all of them. Let's just try pronouncing all of them.
Okay, wait, Max, let's go in order from the left to the right, okay? What's the first one?
Olaf Scholz.
Olaf Scholz.
Yeah, that's not too bad. See, that name isn't too bad.
Olaf Scholz.
That's pronounceable. Okay. And then you have the Greens. You have Annalena Baerbock.
Baerbock?
Yeah, that's not too bad. And then now my favorite. Armin Laschet.
Max, it sounds like you don't know how to say these names, dude.
No, wait, hold on. I actually want to try and pronounce it. Armin Laschet.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Armin Laschet. Sounds Arabic, man. Armin Laschet.
You know what the biggest problem with Armin Laschet is? I only found this out yesterday. His parents are originally Belgian.
No.
That's a problem.
No.
But Nips, look, off of the looks of these three, right?
All right.
Who would you vote for if it was just based on
looks? I'm gonna say this, right, and no offense,
like first impressions.
No offense meant to anyone listening, right? But the guy on the left, Max, what was his name again?
Olaf Scholz.
That's the Scholz.
Andrew Scholz.
Olaf Scholz. Yeah.
He looks like a bit of a racist. I cannot lie. Like right off the bat, he looks like pretentious, snobby. Like goes to top end restaurants and like shouts at the waiters, kind of guy. So I would not like to vote for him. Mm-hmm. I can't really see the face on the right, but he looks like he could be on like a kids cartoon show at night, trying to talk to kids, which is a bit of a mad sentence, but
I'm not gonna lie, I would keep him away from kids. Yeah, I mean he's
and the lady in the middle, I would say the lady in the middle is someone I'd vote for because she looks the most, I guess, approachable out of everyone. On this panel of people that you showed me.
Okay, so as a zoomer, it seems quite clear that the person in the middle has at least a tiny bit of appeal, no? Which is the Greens. Yeah, because I was gonna say that like the other two just look so boring, old and German, and like I don't see the people that I meet in Berlin getting any energy out of these two, you know?
No way. But you also have to remember Germany's a lot bigger than Berlin. I would say that Berlin's like a very...
Of course,
it's a very one-sided
Yeah, I can see a lot of the older Germans I meet getting really excited over these two.
Scholz, right? Tell me if I'm not wrong, but like, does he not look like our university counselor that we had?
Yeah, kind of.
Whose name is also quite similar to this guy.
I mean...
no, really? He's got the haircut.
No?
His face is a lot
They look like
rounder.
he was like the American version, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, but I mean,
But-
Let's just hope he never hears that.
but this is actually an interesting dynamic. So I think, like, you have the old boring generation, which is actually attracting a lot of, from what I understand, a lot of positive attention from older generations, who like really just like stability, which is an important thing in Germany still.
Yes. It is.
Stability is like number one, let's say.
Yeah.
And then you have like the only hope of like something fresher and like something that feels refreshing, at least a little bit, is the Green Party. And I think that the Green Party really has ridden like that wave quite strongly.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah. As I said,
like, okay, so the climate change wave and like, let's say the new generation wave, which kind of happened by accident because no other parties are really providing there.
yeah.
Is there anything else that you think is really pushing the Greens? Like, do they have a good name in Germany?
No, they do. The Green Party in Germany is, I would say, quite a lot bigger than in other countries. Obviously, depends where you are. In different states, a different power. But like in the state where I'm from, Baden-Württemberg, they actually hold the prime minister, and he got re-elected in March for another 5 years. So they will now have 10 years of a Green prime minister, which is quite extraordinary. In that particular state, it came partially because I would say one of the reasons why like the Greens in Germany are successful is because unlike other Green parties, they traditionally have been more willing to compromise, especially like in the state where I'm from. So in the state where I'm from, they actually govern with the CDU, which in other countries would seem really weird that a Green party would govern with the center right.
Right. So
that's
because like the most common criticism I hear from any country of the Greens is that it's people who vote for them just to make sure that like there's a Green voice in the room, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Or,
Well, many,
or
yeah.
they're desperate because they don't like politics, but they know climate change is gonna fuck us, so might as well vote for the Greens.
They're often not taken as like a serious force because
But they're not taken as a normal established political party who's good at governing and who knows what they're doing and can work with other parties. But I think that in Germany, as you said, like if they have posts in like higher in like local regions, say in the highest posts in local regions, and they've been governing, they're really starting to solidify themselves as an actual traditional political party. Is that true?
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, also, even like my parents' generation, a lot of them, if they were like the more liberal side, voted Green back like when they were younger as well, because back then it was also a big pacifist party during like the Cold War and stuff. You had like they were sort of the party that was like, more for peace and like.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to describe. Like denuclearization was a huge thing for them for many years because they were like one of the biggest voices that like were against all the nuclear weapons that Germany has.
Nips, I actually wanted to ask you, or do you want to say your thing first?
No, I just had a question, right? Like, in regards to global warming, like, are all three parties putting something up for global warming, like solution?
That's a good question from Max, actually. Yeah.
They are. They are to varying degrees, obviously. The Greens, obviously.
I see what you did there, but varying degrees.
Varying degrees. Okay, cool. You call me the boomer, bro. Okay.
And you know what the best part is? I didn't actually do that on purpose.
Yeah,
I just
said that. We know.
Yeah, good.
Why do you have to? Okay, whatever, bro. Okay, can you answer the question or like what?
Yeah, I could answer the question. So yeah, they have varying degrees. Obviously, the CDU want it, like they're the most restrictive about it. They want to hold on to Germany's sort of original goals, which we have now, which is, I believe, 2045 to be like climate neutral.
But the chancellor is not very, or the guy who's running for the chancellor is not very like green.
No,
he doesn't care.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, he doesn't really care. But also, it's not just that. Like all climate scientists in Germany have said that the current goals, like, they're not going to work.
Right.
Like we aren't, with those goals, we are guaranteed to miss any climate target we've set for ourselves.
Right.
So essentially, the Greens are a lot more radical. They want to push most states forward by about 10 years.
Right.
They want by 2030 there to be no more.
Which it's funny because radical, like in Germany, means quite not radical compared to other countries. But,
yeah.
But go on.
But yeah.
Shots fired.
Another big thing. This is like a
depends
big
the era.
in Germany.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, a big topic, in Germany, which I know some people from abroad might find funny, is there's, in terms of climate politics, there's always a talk about the speed limit on the autobahn. For example, I mean, because there's no speed limit, right?
Right.
And this, I would say this no speed limit on the Autobahn is like the gun topic in America. People
Right.
have very strong opinions about it, and it's
For no reason.
the
though.
science.
It's just an autobahn, dude.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
God.
So like Armin Laschet is really like, oh, I want to drive 300 kilometers per hour in my like Porsche down the Autobahn. And
Right,
it's
right.
important and it's German heritage and blah, blah, blah. While like the Greens obviously really want to put one in, and it always becomes this huge debate. Many
And
like,
just
feelings.
so that Niloy understands, is that because like the slower you drive, the less CO2 you emit, like per kilometer, or what?
Yes, you
Okay,
do
okay.
emit less CO2.
Right.
So yeah, it's that, and the other debate is accidents, but that's a whole different debate, which I don't think
Yeah.
you guys are that interested in.
So basically, they're both quite good on the environment. The Greens obviously are better.
Yeah.
So the center left and the Greens, but then you have the center right, the CDU, which is not very good. They have like the same loose goals that every other country
Yeah,
has.
it's
more or less.
very loose goals. Like they always say, oh, we need to invest in innovative technologies.
Right.
Without they don't want to cut they don't want to cut down on our current consumption. They just want to rely on scientists
Yeah.
to
Yo, Nips, I think
solve everything magically.
I've asked you this before, no? But like, could you see yourself voting for the Greens as someone who doesn't care about politics? But I know that you know about climate change. Like,
No, saying that I don't care about politics would be kind of wrong, but
okay,
because I
sorry.
do see myself
sorry.
as
Zoomers
No.
these days, dude. We'll never read the news,
Don't worry,
never
bro.
talk about politics, but get offended if you
No.
tell them they don't care about
don't,
politics. All of a
No,
sudden
don't
they're an
worry about it, bro.
activist.
It's
It's
fine.
BLM, whatever.
but no, what I'm trying to get at is that I do tend to find myself leaning more towards the idealisms of the left. So I'm guessing in this sense, the Greens would be the left or the farthest left there is.
There's
Right?
definitely
No.
more for left, but the Greens are,
But I mean-
pretty solidly left. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's say.
Yeah.
Like a good level of left,
Right,
let's say.
right.
Like let's not go to the extremes because like there's obviously always problems with both extremes of right and left.
But yeah, I would
One-
agree with that.
Yeah.
So seeing that like the ideals that the Greens are putting forward, my ideals also somewhat line up with theirs. So
Right,
if I
right.
were to vote, I would more likely vote for the Greens.
Okay. But do you resonate with like the idea of making sure that somebody's representing anti-climate change, or is it just because they kind of line up with your ideologies? Do you think?
Representing anti-climate change.
Yes,
Like,
like stopping climate change, like fighting climate change.
Yeah. That's like a major issue like that we need to be tackling because
Is that would you say that's your number one issue?
I mean, as someone who's is it my number one issue? Because this was actually a question that I was going to ask you guys. Is like when you're looking at politicians, like what's the number one thing that you guys are looking at?
Well, I
what
look
they
for
bring forth.
integrity, so to make sure they're not lying, which is impossible because all politicians lie.
Yeah. I feel
Let's just forget that point. That's impossible.
Yeah. No, but for me, it's like what can I see them doing in 4 years? You know, first of all, stability is quite important to me as well. And second, I would say climate change, and third is like human rights in general, which for me is like extends to like what they're gonna do on the global scene. Yeah, but I mean that I think that's quite specific just for me. You know, I think most people. I mean, I don't know, Max. What do you think is the biggest issue right now in Germany? Like, for you, what's the most important thing for Germany right now?
for Germany, one of my biggest issues was like climate change.
Right.
Because I feel like, Germany lags behind very much so in the EU when it comes to
Right.
like climate change investment. Another thing was like, it's called digitalization in English.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, Germany is actually very, very far behind when it comes
Yeah, I
to
was reading this. You
Germany's
told me
really,
about this
like-
once, but
Yeah.
you would never imagine. But Germany is like really behind, like in technology.
Yeah, in a lot of things. So, like for example, 4G. Many places in Germany still don't have 4G.
What, you guys don't have the 4G, dude?
There's some places do, but they are a sizable. Like most of Germany.
Dude, nowadays
does,
you
but
can get a
there's-
vaccine and you get the 5G, dude. You
Yeah,
guys are still on the
exactly.
4G.
Well, that's why this is like one of those times when like people in Germany, especially in the countryside, like they're rolling out 5G in Germany, and they're like, "Hold up, we still have 3G. Why are people getting
Yeah.
5G and we don't even have 4G?"
And I guess
yet?
that's also part of the divide between the East and the West.
Yeah, as part of the East-West divide. Also, like in many schools in Germany, still use blackboards,
Right.
and like that's the only thing they have. They don't have they don't have anything else.
They don't have whiteboards in Germany.
Wait, Max, what are you trying to say, bro?
Max, I feel like you brought a really weird point up for no reason, Do you want to
sorry.
backtrack a little, maybe?
Yeah, in general, especially like with COVID, it's been shown that like there was many kids that literally were told you have to do school online, but were like, I don't have a laptop.
I don't have an
have-
online like.
Yeah,
what
there is
an
no online.
Yeah,
And many many teachers maybe have a laptop, but they can't use it. They have no idea
Right,
what to do
right.
with said technology. So yeah,
so a lot of Germany is still stuck in the dark ages, let's say.
yeah. For those things, funnily enough, yeah, Germany is stuck in the dark ages. In some
Yeah,
ways.
I mean, let's be honest though. Like when the pandemic rolled out, a lot of teachers didn't know how to use
that's true.
technology.
Yeah, not
So
even
that's
like
true.
the university teachers that we pay for, you know.
No,
Yeah.
no, they were even worse. I would say
Yeah.
there were many cases they were even worse.
Yeah, shout out
Yeah.
Ken
Because
Sherman. Sorry, bro.
Because they're definitely more qualified. But the problem with them being more qualified is that they are older, and
Yeah.
if when they are older, it's less likely that they've been educated on technology.
Like Zoom, like
Yeah.
yeah.
Another topic I want to bring forth as to why like the Greens recently in Germany have been so big is because like Germany has done something very weird recently. Well, as I said, Germans love stability.
Right.
Hence, for example, until well, I'll bring up later. But so in the last in 3 of Merkel's 4 terms, her coalition has been the CDU and the SPD. So the Social Democrats have essentially co-aligned with the Conservatives. So the
Right,
two
right.
biggest parties have got into one coalition, which in other countries I've never seen before.
Right.
It's a very, very German thing, and essentially the reason is stability. That's the
Right,
main
right.
reason why this is done. So, for example, in 2017, the SPD was already really struggling. So their chancellor candidate at the time, Martin Schulz, said, "No way, we're not doing that again. Absolutely not. Like we're not distant themselves." Because the problem was he was also a bit more of a left wing in the more left part of the party, and he was essentially saying a lot of the classical topics of like inequality, tax reform. But the problem is everyone was like, how can you say that they have like benefited the rich when you were in government with them?
Right.
They were
That's
just
the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. And so essentially
So you end up
then-
running like these campaigns where you're kind of all representing the same history in the same
Yeah.
government. Like
Exactly. So then that election, the Social Democrats did terribly.
Right.
I mean, that election was, even the CDU did quite badly actually. in that
Yeah,
election,
yeah.
But that's a different story.
But
Yeah.
sorry, finish
You
your point real quick. Go on.
So essentially, they tried to put in at the time the so-called Jamaica coalition, which was between CDU, Greens, and
Yeah.
a party called the
Dude,
FDP, which
these
are like a
guys-
liberal.
Yeah, these guys always name their coalitions after colors, by the way. Nips, if you didn't
Yeah,
know.
it's great.
Yeah,
we
like
have the traffic light coalition.
Yeah,
we
now
have
it's going to be the
Jamaica.
traffic light coalition.
Now
the
it's
yellow, the
red,
green,
red,
and the-
green, if it's one of them. But so yeah, it's always
Right.
named after that for some reason. But yeah, that coalition was kind of going somewhere, but then the head of the FDP, so like they're like a centrist, center-right liberal
Yeah,
party.
this is the liberal party, right?
Or maybe libertarian is a better
Yeah.
word.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
like
For
Americans, to
Americans,
use. Anyway, their head, Christian Lindner, said no. He
Right.
he just walked out pretty late on. So many people were expecting it, and it didn't happen.
Right.
So then all of a sudden it was like, what do we do now? So the president of Germany actually asked the SPD, being like, please go into coalition. Because at this point I think it had been 6 months, and Germany
Yeah.
hadn't had it.
I mean, that's normal for the Netherlands, but okay. In Germany,
Yeah,
I
in
guess.
Germany this had never happened before.
Right.
So in Germany people were panicking. They're like, what? This is not good.
And that's also not stability when you don't have a government.
not stability. So essentially, the SPD they caved in and like, fine, we'll do it again. So
Right.
they did the same coalition came out again. But now I think it's a coalition that I always found annoying, because for example, between 2013 and 2017, various parties didn't do well. So there's only 4 parties in the German parliament in that time. This was
Right.
before the AfD came in. And the FDP, that libertarian party, didn't get in, which
Right.
that was a big scandal, but that's a different story. So, and at the time they had this, it's called the Big Coalition, so SPD and CDU. So
Right.
the opposition was like nothing.
Right.
Because
that
the
is
two
quite
biggest
annoying.
parties
Yeah,
just teamed together. And so
yeah,
it
you
was
need a
just
good
like,
opposition, actually. Yeah.
essentially, yeah, in my opinion, that coalition has just caused to not be good opposition oftentimes. Or when there is an opposition, it's like,
It's weird. It's
either
like
far right,
scrambles. Yeah.
the far right or the far left
Right.
that just cannot cooperate. And B, that's why a big reason it sort of made me lose trust in the SPD, because I'm a bit like, I get stability is important, but I feel like they cave into a lot of their values.
Right. They just they play along to play along.
Yeah, they play along
Yeah.
to play along. And that's why ever since I think especially 2017, many people we don't have a center left.
Right.
There isn't a alternative, because the
There's
SPD
not a real.
you get,
There's not a real
Yeah.
center left.
And the other
this
party
also,
you have-
Would you say this also benefit like the rise of the Greens, by the way? Or
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
100%. It benefited the rise of the Greens, because the other party you have on the left wing party, they're literally called the left.
Right. Yeah. I saw that. That's also so fucking German. Sorry.
Well, they used to be called. Well, actually, that party. I don't know if you know this. Used to be the SED, the party in East Germany.
Yeah.
Is that party? But they've now grown into.
Wait, what's the party called again?
Well, now it's called the left.
But
back in East Germany, they were called the SED. They were like
SED.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were called the Chinese Communist Party. It's like the Chinese Communist Party in China. They were the one party. They ruled everything. So in West Germany, they get 0 votes. No one votes for them because they still have
that
connotations, a stigma of, even though now it's probably doesn't exist, but there's still a huge stigma of they're communists basically, and East Germany.
Right.
So people don't vote for them, and so the people that got voted, so essentially the Greens became the new the center left party, and they've ridden that wave.
Is that the future for Germany? Is that what's?
Well, until recently, I would have said so, but
except for now, the SPD all of a sudden has popularity,
and that's for various reasons. And I think the Greens have kind of, I feel like they got too much pressure. They didn't take the pressure very well, because there's essentially various things that have happened in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So you have obviously the controversy with Annalena Baerbock. She beefed up her CV more than she officially should have, and in many documents.
She plagiarized in the book that she wrote, which I thought was really weird.
She essentially copy pasted. Her argument is that they were commonly known facts, so it wasn't that common ideal. But she said it's also dodgy. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So she's not. There's that. Also, I don't know if you know this, but they had a huge scandal in Germany's smallest state that isn't a city. So it doesn't. It's Berlin is smaller, but that's a city, so it's a different system.
Yeah.
So it's this tiny, tiny state called Saarland, which used to be France actually, before World War II.
Poor them.
Yeah, poor them. But essentially, the Greens you can't vote for the Greens in that party in this election because they fucked up essentially, where that state's wing of the Greens, when electing their candidates to put on the list,
right.
Apparently there were two two candidates for leadership for that state. An old guy, a boomer, who's been the leader for 25 years.
Yeah.
And a 25-year-old girl who's the classic young millennial leader. And the older guy won that's their election who would be the leader.
Right.
But then the big party, the National Green Party, said, that breaks our rules for, I think, something like gender
diversity.
Equality or
something. Yeah, okay.
Diversity, yeah. It breaks the quotas. So they had to re-elect. And then the girl won, the 25-year-old
Why would you
girl.
have an election if you're just filling a quota anyways?
Yeah. Anyway, but then, so that was, everyone was like, oh, that's a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
And then eventually
that does feel dodgy, actually.
The big courts in Germany, so the federal court and also the federal electoral commission came in, and they said that is wasn't a fair election. They it's been meddled with.
Yeah.
And so as a punishment, they weren't banned from creating a list for that state. So that's essentially a whole state where you cannot vote for them because.
Right. So it's these type of shenanigans, and as I said, this is kind of the problem with a lot of green parties in Europe. Is they don't feel very established, and they're still kind of rookies at politics.
Yeah, which I don't think is necessarily. Well, I don't think it's necessarily fault, especially in Germany. Until recently, they were known to they've been junior partners in a coalition, but they've never been a big party. So they just, I don't know. I feel like they need to learn a bit. They need to get into a bit more.
Right.
Max,
do you mind if I ask you some questions?
Yeah. Sorry, I've been talking for a while.
Yeah. All right. Look, I have 2 questions. Right. First of all, for some reason, DW tried to convince me that Germans care about Kabul and Afghanistan. Is that true?
Yes, but it's not a huge topic. I wouldn't say that's the biggest topic in this election. No.
Yeah, because they tried to really convince me that Germans care about this, but I really don't. I mean,
it is definitely a topic, 100%. The whole Afghanistan thing. I think what they might be trying to connect to is that a big debate is so you know how NATO has the 2% rule.
No, not really. You mean for funding or what? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So 2% of your GDP,
Yeah. So the CDU and I believe the SPD, CDU 100% want to reach that goal. SPD maybe. Anyway, the Greens are pretty hardline saying no, and the left is also saying no. So that's been a bit of a topic, like especially NATO. That maybe they would try to connect it to that, but
Right.
I wouldn't say that's not the biggest topic.
They were commentating and saying that Germans feel like this is a weakness or a weak point, and it's like very revealing of how weak Germany is as a country in the European Union, like in general.
I would say it's more of the Germans care more about, like, some Germans feel that, you know, Germany as a military power is quite weak.
Yeah.
We are.
But like, I thought that was on purpose. Like,
yeah, I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a bit weird all of a sudden hearing that people, like these commentators, there was 4 of them, and they were all in agreement that Kabul made Merkel and the establishment look really bad. But I really don't think people care that much, no? In
No,
Germany.
I wouldn't.
So just to confirm.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't speak for everyone, but
Right.
I would say that's not the biggest topic.
I mean, yeah, and also speaking to Germans, that's never like
Yeah, like
foreign
that's
affairs
not.
and Afghanistan and stuff is not really what people talk about, I feel like.
I feel like they do, but not. In this election, it has been as big of a thing.
Right, I think COVID and like when your house is getting
What
flooded
also has
and stuff.
What has
like,
been a bit more of a thing has been like Germany's relationship with Russia and China.
yeah,
That's
I
a
saw that.
big topic. That's more of a topic, I would say. And also, some German politicians saying we should be more careful with America.
Yeah.
Like essentially saying like we should no longer.
No,
just
that
go-
was one of the points I was surprised to hear, is that a lot of these commentators were arguing, and they were saying that Europe and Germany specifically should be able to protect a place like Kabul or the airport in Kabul without the help of the United States. And even with the help of the United States, it was a complete disaster. Like, how bad can we be, you know, that we can't even secure one airport to get our citizens out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that may be a bit more of a topic though. If you talk specifically about getting their citizens out, I think that was a bit of a more of a topic. Yeah,
Right,
where they were saying that like, the Germans were not powerful enough like to get the citizens out. But just
but like, do you think people are angry at the government for that? Like, do they blame certain people?
I don't think that's. I wouldn't say so.
No,
I wouldn't
right.
say that's.
I
like
think that's a bit of a
overarching
stretch.
topic.
Yeah.
I would agree, but as I said, I'm not.
And my other question is, and I feel like every time you talk about elections nowadays, you have to bring this up. What is it looking like in terms of immigration? Is there still a big anti-immigration movement? Like, is it still like on the rise? Has it died down a bit? Like, what does it look like, do you think?
The short story is it's very much died down. It's quite funny actually. Compared to last time, it's really become a bit of a, even, Norway had its election 2 weeks ago, so I was following that a bit. Even there, all of a sudden, that topic gone.
Yeah, no,
People have forgotten about
I've
that.
like felt that kind of.
Yeah, but that I think is just other things happening.
Yeah,
At
like
most,
when COVID happens, you realize that immigration's maybe not that bad.
And also, and also I was actually reading an analysis last night on a news site about the AFD specifically.
Yeah,
because the AFD have had a very weird time where they have been actually they've been like the party in the election you hear about the least.
Yeah,
they've got no scandals. They're just sort of in the corner, not doing very much. And essentially, what they were arguing, and I agreed with this to a great extent, was they've sort of realized essentially they know no one is going to go to government with them. Every party had literally said, not them,
right?
Anyone else but them. So they can't come to power. They're literally only the summary was that like they're fighting to be roughly the same as last time, at least double digits,
right?
But actually not too big, because all of a sudden people will say, well, now you have to take responsibility, and they don't actually want that yet.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of that. There's also a bit of the fact that, the voters that voted for them last time, they're not gaining new voters per se.
Yeah, so
Like,
they're
not
comfortable
really
staying.
Yeah, they're just sort of, the people who voted for them last time will probably vote for them again, but they won't be like this.
This is the anti-immigration party, right? Just to be.
Yeah, anti-immigration, anti-EU. But also another thing people are saying is that, like, how I said, the CDU isn't hugely pro-climate change, for example.
Right.
But they do at least pretend to come up with solutions.
Right.
The AFD doesn't even pretend. Like, their official stance is like, global warming isn't that bad. We should embrace it.
It doesn't really matter.
So it's one of those things where no one takes them serious. People are starting to just not take them seriously because they're like, that's just a joke. Like,
because at this point you can't say that. Like, that used to be a thing where like you would say, oh, don't worry about it. But now it's like, well, the houses are, my house is flooded.
Yeah, they're doing this. This is happening with with a lot of topics.
Right,
like even like EU, they just say, "Oh, we need to go out." They're not saying, "Well, what we should do is we need to leave." And it's just like, well, So I think it's a bit of that, and also a bit. There's been a lot of internal splitting in the party. Like, not everyone's very happy with the lead. Like not everyone in the AFD apparently is very happy with the way they've gone. Some people say they're too mellow. They should have gone out. Apparently, even like their rallies have just like been like there's not as many people, and the people that go are like they're not new people.
Right.
So yeah. So that's why I would say, and I would say before this, I purposely researched. This year, there's been 3 states have gone to elections for their state parliaments.
Yeah.
And so that's, a good way to somehow
right,
see
you
the
can
trend
kind
of
see.
And in all of them, the AFD went down, albeit not by a huge amount, but none of them, they were either like went down.
So the far right, I feel like is kind of losing steam, let's say.
They are a bit, yeah.
Anti-immigration is not really that big of a thing anymore. Also because like in Germany, you guys have a really old population, in case you didn't know, full of boomers. And
is it that bad? Is it worse than like let's say Italy?
Yeah, and I didn't know this because when I went to Berlin, I was like, wow, there's children everywhere here. Like, but it's actually one of the worst. I don't know if it's worse than Italy, but it's pretty bad. And
the reason why Germany might not be as bad as Italy because not as like young people don't move away as much. Italy has a problem. All the young people are moving out.
Yeah, that's true. And you also so Al Jazeera, just to give you the source, for example, was saying that. If Germany wants to keep the same system like everything is now, like where you pay pensions to old people and then you have young people working and paying taxes, they would need as many as 400,000 new migrant workers per year, like for the money to work. And that's also a big problem because migrants cannot work for legal reasons and they cannot work from day one for sure. But that sounds like a lot of migrants for me, and I feel like people on one hand are realizing that there's so many bigger problems than immigration. Immigration is not that bad, like except for very like specific cases, and then you have on the other hand like a lot of benefits from immigration, like a renewed workforce, let's say, that a lot of like society and production actually really relies on. For example, when COVID happened, I was talking to some Polish colleagues of mine, and they were like, 2 million Romanians came back to Romania at the beginning of COVID from Europe. Those were all workers. And I know in Germany they had to shut down a few meat factories or meat plants.
That was also for other reasons, but yeah.
Like so when the workers disappear, like the immigrant workers, you have a big problem. And so I'm happy to see that kind of die down. But
like it's it's one of those things where I think it's not dead forever. Like it will come back up soon.
Yeah, for
sure.
But
for this election, it just hasn't been the biggest topic.
Right. So for this election, to like summarize, we kind of we can say that immigration has kind of taken a back seat as opposed to previous cycles where it was a really big thing.
I think it's interesting because the last election, it was like the biggest topic. Because 2017 we were still riding the migrant wave of 2015.
This year, I think the biggest topic is climate change and Corona, right?
Like climate change, Corona, the whole digitalization thing is quite big. There's some internal topics like infrastructure. It's quite a big topic.
And I heard, also like equity, like the separation between the rich and the poor, like
that. But also another thing that I haven't actually talked about yet. This is actually a very big topic in Germany. Is if Germany should keep what's in German called the Schwarze Null. So you know how Germans tend to love
that thing. Yeah,
that's the who.
I just realized now if I say to you what this is called in English, you will. It's very sus.
Okay, go on, Max. What's the sus word?
It translates to the black zero.
So okay. So you're talking about the policy where you want 0 black people in Germany, or what? What is this?
No.
Are we allowed to even air this? What are you referencing?
It's very, very PG.
Okay.
So you know how Germans they have lower debt than other countries,
right?
And Germany tends to hate taking out debt, and have actually had a budget surplus. Pre-COVID, had
because
3
you were
years
paying
of
back
surplus.
reparations until 2013. Just for people who didn't know.
But so part of the Schwarze Null refers to you don't go over budget. You at least you clean
dude. Every time you say that word, I freeze up, dude. It sounds really sus. Sorry, man.
Right, I won't say anymore.
Okay, so it's it's getting to making sure your budget's balanced, right? You don't want to spend more than you make.
Yeah, Germany.
Even the word just sounds wrong.
Yeah,
bro.
exactly. Are you sure?
Even in German, it just.
That's what it's called. But also, so Germany also has a so-called a debt break. So there's a limit to how much debt Germany's allowed to accumulate.
Right. And you guys accumulated some debt, I imagine, these past 2 years because of COVID.
Oh yeah, because of COVID. But that's why this is such a big topic now. People say, "What do we do with debt?"
Yeah.
Because the CDU,
So
like,
I mean,
and
you're at some point you can just go full on American and say that that doesn't exist.
yeah.
But
Well, see, that's the thing. Different, because especially one part of the reason why like the debt was so criticized and the budget surplus actually was so criticized recently was that people saying, as I was saying, a lot of like the infrastructure in Germany is actually not that good.
Right.
There's been a lack of investment in a lot of things, and people are like, how are we having a budget surplus when there's so many things that need to be done? Like
Right.
the mobile network is really bad. A lot of rail networks are collapsing. So things like this, they're like, we need to like spend money. We need to start, like, people are essentially saying like, we can't grow the economy by just never spending anything,
Yeah.
which looks good on paper, but we will never grow. And so different parties, so for example, many parties on the left, the far left party want to completely abolish the debt,
right.
the debt break. They want to just take it away, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
The Greens, they want to keep it, but they want exemptions for investments, for certain types of investments,
Right.
particularly.
In the green sector. Yeah.
Yeah, but not just that, some other investments as well.
Like social investments or what?
Yeah, like social investments.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it building up the country.
Right. Make America
social-
great again.
Yeah, the Social Democrats, I believe, still want to have it, but they want to change like government spending.
Right.
So yeah, that has been quite a big topic.
Right, now-
whether or not Germany will keep on like a very conservative debt
Now,
politics.
okay, now that we've so I'm sorry to cut you off, Max, but I do have to run in like 10 minutes. I got another meeting.
Oh, that's
just so
fair.
you know. But
Yeah.
now that we looked at like all these different topics, I think we've gone through quite a bit here, and
Yeah,
through all
I
the
mean,
important topics at least. What do you see as being the outcome on Sunday? Like, who? And what I'm mainly looking for is if you can like name a coalition, that'd be pretty dope. But I think that's quite difficult at this point.
The coalition naming is I struggle with, also because
Yeah.
it's basically guaranteed it won't be a two-party coalition.
Yeah. So,
Which Germany,
but like,
Germany's
who-
had. Yeah.
let's say top three parties is quite secure. I feel like that's gonna be the ones we've been mentioning a lot.
That's secure. The order will be interesting.
Yeah, the
but,
order. So who do you think is gonna get the plurality? So not the majority, but like the most votes as a party.
I believe the SPD will manage to get the majority of votes.
You think the SPD will get the most votes?
They will, but they will be a more tight margin than what we want now, because recently the polls are starting to like, the CDU and SPD are starting to like creep together again. So I think it will be quite tight, but I reckon they will have the edge.
And second?
Second, I reckon CDU.
CDU, all right.
I don't think the Greens, I think they've lost a bit too much.
Well,
unless they pull a mad one in 10 days, but
I have to,
unfortunately...
I have to tell you, Max, you're actually correct, and that is what's going to happen, because that's my prediction as well. I think that the SPD, the Democratic Socialist guy, the Schulz, Olaf Schulz, he's way too boring not to win in Germany. He's really like, I don't know, he's just so boring and like straightforward and has a track record.
But as I said, like, I said, like, in all like the debates, he's like, people have been, especially like the CDU guy has been attacking him because he's getting desperate. And he's really played it cool. He's been very good at like having a good conversation and coming back with.
And I think
not
that's
always the best
really,
points, but
really important in this climate where you're trying to find a successor to someone who's been really popular, who's been there for 16 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like the worst position to be in that situation is in the same party as the previous, like in CDU, because then you're really forced to represent that person, but you cannot be that person. You have to distinguish yourself at the same time, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but the coalitions, I honestly don't know.
No,
that's
I don't know.
That is really tough.
I mean, I can predict the coalition after we have to vote, but like, more than that,
exactly.
No, too early.
I can like I've got options that I can give, but that's about it. Because the thing is, Germany, for example, has never actually had three parties in a coalition since I think like the 50s, like since right after the war.
Yeah.
So for Germans, it's a bit like uncertain times. Three parties is a bit unstable for many Germans, but it's unavoidable that no two parties really have unless there's a big coalition, which actually wait, no, even they at current polling might not have enough seats.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, they could do a bigger coalition, but it's a bit weird now because you have like such a big focus around the center, and the Green is like the new alternative, let's say. And like the rest is just extremes. It feels more like, or like weird niche.
Two of the So with the Social Democrats, two of the most common talk about ones are red, green. So that's Social Democrat, Green, and the left wing party.
Right.
And it's quite funny. So so that's one thing the CDU has really been blaming SPD for. Like, are you really going to elect with these like communists? They're essentially trying to do that. And Olaf Scholz has been very like, we will have discussions and then we'll decide. I can't comment. Like, I'm open for anything.
Yeah,
very
fair.
political.
Good answer. Yeah.
But a couple of days ago, actually, it was funny. The left party actually said, "Oh, because until very recent, they've been like, and absolutely, if we go into government, no NATO. We have to get rid of NATO. Or
NATO.
Germany goes out from NATO."
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dude. Okay.
But
a bit
they recently
extreme,
said,
okay.
all of a sudden, like a week ago, they went, "Oh, that will no longer be like a claim that we have to
Okay,
have."
good,
Like,
good. That's
so
fine.
they're
That's a little more chill.
Yeah, parties are starting to. It's starting to be a bit more like weakening up.
Yeah, and
another.
that would be nice
yeah.
though. Like if you got a strong left party there. I mean, I don't think I would
It
ever
would.
vote for them or be part of them, but
Yeah.
it would be interesting.
It
if,
would be.
like,
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
unprecedented in Germany.
Yeah.
Many people, like many, especially Western boomers, are like scared of it. But
yeah,
like,
I understand.
it would be a
Alright.
breath of fresh air.
Niloy, your predictions?
I think you guys did a pretty good job. My predictions are exactly like Max said, and then I think Mattis actually didn't do any research into it, and he just blindly followed Max. But
Yeah, actually,
I
I should have
actually
said
wrote
my
this down
prediction first
before.
because now it's going to be Max's prediction. Fuck.
it's a bit sus. But obviously, from this podcast, I think people can see that I obviously predicted this correctly from the start, and my predictions are exactly like Max's.
So I guess we have three intellectuals here who are also smart that we arrived at the same prediction,
Exactly.
which
Absolutely.
will inevitably be true because my predictions are always true.
Of course.
Exactly.
All right.
But yes.
So
Yeah. There's obviously some things that we haven't been able to talk about. I don't know if Mattis, you ever heard about the Wirecard scandal?
No, I actually have not. But
That's
well,
a big topic. But
yeah.
it's hasn't. So that's a different.
please send us a
another
link later on
Yeah,
a
Max,
later date.
Niloy's fallen asleep at least 3 times at this point, bro.
But that's
but-
expected.
yeah, in case
You'll
you didn't know,
always
we're
fall
trying a new format where like the podcast is just one topic and a bit shorter.
Okay.
Yeah, you would have known if we had published last week's episode, which was actually kind of a banger, but whatever.
I'm actually quite sad. I feel like that would have been a really good podcast.
Bro,
Yeah, no, it was
last
really
week's
good.
episode was actually
It was
quite a banger.
a really good one, dude. I can't believe Anthony didn't record it, man.
And I feel like it would have actually popped off as well because
Yeah,
like it
it
was,
was like-
on current events.
Yeah, it was the Donda versus CLB, like album
Oh,
review.
Bro, the amount of haters,
Yeah, but-
we would have had in the comments.
And the problem is you can't post it now because it's too late. Like we can't redo it
Yeah.
and like post it a week later.
Yeah.
Like it has to be on the
It's
drop.
not gonna feel the same.
Yeah, and also we
But
can't
one thing
redo
that
it.
might, but one thing that might feel the same is, do you want to do music of the week real quick?
I mean, sure.
Let's just say, alright.
I mean, I got the same
Max, do you
music
have
as
a-
last week, I would say.
Yeah, I'll just pull up the same song as mine, and maybe just put in the no, that wouldn't work, would it? I was gonna say the reviews that we did from last week, so we don't have to review it.
Yo, no, dude, I'm actually good with music of the week, dude. I'm gonna have to head out, bro.
Alright,
Yeah,
fine.
we'll plan it better next time, man. But like, I think we covered the elections.
We did.
I'm actually quite happy with the discussions we had, and I think our predictions. At least I'm happy to hear that mine are quite sound. If the German guy agrees.
Yeah. If
and
there's
yeah.
any Germans listening, make sure to go vote. You can pre-vote if you're not going to be at a polling station.
Did
on
you already
election
vote,
day.
Max?
I did.
Who did you vote
Last
for?
Friday.
Oh,
Just
Who
as
do
a
you
sneaky.
think? Who do you think, Mattis?
I think you voted for the Greens. You fuck.
Yeah, of course.
You did.
Yeah.
what?
Oh my god! There you go, bro.
I thought you told me that like last week you were gonna vote for Schultz.
I never said that.
Dude, Max is
Oh.
sketchy, dude. Did you vote for the far right by any chance?
No,
Double checking. No, of course not.
of course not.
Of course not.
All right, bro. Okay. It's been real, bro. Nips, do you want to roll an outro or something?
All right. So let's keep the conversation going in the comments, right? Daily Kelvin shout out as always. Can never forget that one.
Daily Kelvin shout.
And Kelvin, if you
Daily Kelvin
heard that
shout
one,
out.
drop it down in the comments again, like you always do.
Motherfucking
And
Zoomer.
if there are any Germans out here that are listening to this podcast right before the elections, then drop down below who you're voting for, why you're voting for them, and if there was anything on this podcast that we missed out, please do feel so to comment. And like always, like, share, and subscribe, guys.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Been a good time.
Peace.
Thanks for having me. Peace out.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Anytime.
Witnesses will not find the peace among the clueless. Listening to Bowie sing, the word is not something you can change.